Start out, I picked out 5 primary arguments that I thought she pointed out that were of particular importance in the essay. The first one is that electronic discourse has called for classical rhetoric to be reinterpreted, and that brings about a whole new stage of literacy consciousness, which Welch calls secondary orality. And that's one really interesting point that she starts off her essay with. The second is that newer discourse technologies should be incorporated into general education requirements in higher education, and doing so would really place the value of digital writing equal to that of the study and the writing of the more traditional print version text. The third major argument that she brings up is that recognizing a change in audience can lead to a better understanding of consciousness in the way that electronic discourse really does speak to larger audiences. And seeing as how a large part of the composition classroom focuses on teaching students the ability to write towards a specific audience, I think incorporating these digital technologies and the way that they influence audience is a very good thing to have students consider. Fourth major point that I thought was really interesting that she brings up is that technology has drastically changed the way that the fifth canon of rhetoric, which is delivery, is employed, and that the choice of medium is now even more important, and it lends itself to be an even more loaded rhetorical choice than it was before, as it does affect the way that we conceptualize. And despite the medium, traditional print and digital discourse are not in conflict with each other. I don't understand why a lot of people try to pin the two against each other, and I think Welch brings up the point that it doesn't necessarily have to be one versus the other, that it's one medium kind of as an addition and reinforcing the other. And a fifth argument that she brings up is that it's really vital for people in the modern age to be aware of rhetoric's pristine adaptability and the digital writing and those modes of persuasion that are showed through digital writing. They consume our everyday lives, so becoming even more aware of those rhetorical choices that are being made in digital discourse is really important for everyone, because becoming aware of one's place in print culture empowers student writers and writing. In this article, Welch asks a very important question regarding the study and the discipline of rhetoric, and the specific question that she brings up in the article, I believe, is probably the most important question for academics to ask, and that is, so what can be done with a faculty or an ability that can go out of control so readily? And in regards to rhetoric, I think this is a very important question, and it's one that I plan to address in my thesis. Since I'm focusing my thesis work around the Holocaust, I think that this question applies perfectly to that real-world scenario, because it is a scenario where this discipline, rhetoric, was adapted in the worst possible way, and that this really shows what she was talking about in the terms of rhetoric being adaptable to anything, and that it really can go out of control. And one way that I have kind of started to think about this is in my composition classrooms. When I introduce students to the basic concepts of rhetoric, I give them a daily writing assignment to reflect on whether they believe rhetoric is good or evil. And I've gotten a variety of responses to that, but I think the winning overall answer to that question of whether it's good or evil is that it can absolutely be both, and it just depends on the rhetorician's employment of it. But I believe that the only way to really safeguard, I guess, humanity in general against rhetoricians using this discipline in a negative way is to be educated about the key methods of persuasion that are surrounding us every day in visual media.